Welcome. I'd like to talk a little bit today about the process of egoic submission, the submission of the ego. So first, it is important to take a look at what is this thing we call the ego. If one stops and really looks, not from inside the habit of contraction, but from what is contractionless, what is movementless, what is timeless, what is the essence of your own beingness, what is felt in the presence of what the mind calls the eternal moment, what is now. There is something that is present, that is unmoving and unchanging. And in resting in what is felt, that is unmoving and unchanging, there is what appears as movement and change. When movement and change is experienced from inside the contraction of what has been defined as me, when movement is experienced arising out of this focal point of reference, what the mind calls the body, and then out of this focal reference point, there is the 5 perceptive senses. The experience of all the changes, of all that moves from inside this contraction, which then perceives an outside through the 5 senses, is what is known as ego. It is a never-ending show of constant change that feels like the totality of what is real from inside this contraction. But if all of this is simply allowed, nothing to change, nothing to do, nothing to defeat, nothing to conquer, and there is the simple feeling in the moment of what is changeless. It is not something perceived through the contraction that is called this body, and then its perceptive experience through its sensory apparatus. It is immediate, it is centerless, it is bodiless, it is timeless, it is felt. It is always felt now. Opportunity is to feel your own beingness now. and in the feeling of this, then to simply recognize, the appearance of movement. Recognizing appearance of movement from what is unmoving. The key word here is appearance. Inside the contraction, in this focal reference point known as me, known as ego, the taste is not appearance, the taste is reality. The experience of the reality is that I am this defined, limited body, very, very small, and everything else is out there, and everybody is under their own control, and I must control for myself. And I am the doer and the chooser and the thinker. And this is the experience throughout the entire life for most. But in a moment of simply coming to rest in what is felt as your own beingness, your own heart, your own presence, which has nothing to do with perception, with thought, with contraction or expansion. Just feeling what is now. Feeling your existence. When you are truly feeling your existence, there really is no your. It is feeling existence. There is no distance. There is no time. There is nowhere existence is not. There is no movement to it because it is everywhere. There is no time to it because it is not away from. But it can be felt. Not by perception. Perception appears from the place of existence. It appears as appearance. Body appears as appearance. And the movement appears. What was you and seemed so real appears. From the perspective of existence, of your existence, of what is timeless, what is felt in this moment. What has driven this thing called ego, which is fueled by the contraction into this focal point of reference known as the body, and perceiving its relative reality from that place. What is revealed when this habit is freed? Not by effort, but by the simple feeling of your own beingness now. What is revealed is that what generates the life of this ego is effort. What generates the experience of my movement is effort. Always running to get something for me, to understand something, for me to break through something, for me. But in the simple resting of your own beingness, in the simple resting of what is now, in the simple resting of your own existence, which is untouched, what has driven this mechanism, this contraction, comes to rest. And what begins to be experienced is what is called submission of ego, unraveling. Its fuel supply in one moment of resting in what is cut off. The illusion of that being the sum total of who I am is revealed. It appears as an appearance. The fuel which generates the speed, which generates the illusion, slows down. And it becomes so clear. All perception through that focal point is simply the arising of phenomena. You know, you take a stick figure on a pad of paper, and you move this stick figure ever so slightly with each frame, and you take the pad and you spin the pages, and the stick figure appears to move. Your perceptive senses over the experience of time create the experience of something moving. But when the fuel supply is cut off and the stimulus slows down, what becomes clear is there really is no movement. One page does not connect with the other. It was the speed of the stimulation over the mind's experience of time which created the appearance of movement. Every single aspect of all five senses is revealed to be just like this. The simple cognition of one word, variations in sound, movements of the page of the stick figure running, connected by mental process over the experience of time, forming a word that has some conceptual understanding in mind that leads to another word, that leads to a sentence, that leads to an idea. But as the fuel supply is cut off in the simple resting in your own existence, what is revealed is that the dots do not connect, that it is a phantom of mind, that it is phenomena creating an experience, creating the perception of senses in this focal point of reference known as ego. There is nothing complex here. Mind is complex. Freedom is more simple than the simplest thought. It is simply resting in your own existence, which already is. There is no movement in it because it is not away from. It is immediate. It is everywhere. It is always. There was never a moment where there was not existence, and you can feel it now in the simple feeling of your existence now. The show goes on. It's only the myth that is dispelled. It is feeling your own heart. It is feeling how there is nowhere. It is not. It is recognizing that this feeling of your own existence is not altered by anything that appears, no matter what is appearing. As the resting begins to fall more deeply into itself, the fuel which has been generating the show of the appearance begins to slow down. The frames begin to be seen for what they are, like the stick figure. Each perceptive sense is witnessed as the arising of phenomena. And there is something so untouched, so unspeakably beautiful, so wildly alive, that begins falling into itself, in the falling away of the habit of trying to control for this individual construct, this individual expression arising out of a contraction of conscious awareness defined by mind as body. And its role when there is the alignment with the beingness in your own heart is submission. And in its submission, its very appearance begins to unravel. The thing of feeling your own beingness is if it is an avenue to get away from human suffering, then it is driven by ego itself. Then the taste, if one is really focused, then it is possible to break out of the turbulence of mind. But the taste is the taste of what is called emptiness. The taste is the taste of space. But when the path is the path of submission, which is the allowing of everything that appears, the fighting against nothing, the attempting to go nowhere, the simple receiving of what is offered, then what begins to occur is that everything that created the appearance of this contraction, the appearance of the body being me, everything comes to surface. Because it cannot be freed if it does not come up. And the benevolence and the beauty of the grace of God brings it forth in perfection and in its appearance when Submission is the nature of ego. Every time it appears, it is simply received. Not to fix, not to change, not to go somewhere, just received. Each time it is received, something that was not seen is seen. Something that was bound is unbound. Until the movement into your own beingness is no longer driven by the attempt to get away from what was perceived as pain. It simply reveals itself, and it does not reveal space. For when the work has been done, it reveals this unbelievable love, this incredible beauty. This joy that cannot be defined. The joy of your own existence, your own beingness, your own heart. So submission of ego begins with this simple willingness to not run away from, to not follow the habit of this darting, constant movement arising out of this focal reference point, this contraction. Just the willingness to receive whatever arises. Eventually, what is revealed is your own heart. Eventually, there are spaces between the movements. Eventually, what is still begins revealing itself, by itself, to itself, as the habit of running slows down. The taste of space is ignited as the construct begins to unravel into this unspeakable beauty. The beauty of this moment, the beauty of what is felt in the heart, the beauty of what is unchanging, and ultimately the appearance transforms into the appearance of God, appearing as everything. Submission of ego in this moment. This lies in the letting go of everything known, everything prior, all the words that have just been spoken. It is feeling into this and allowing what appears to be tasted as it is, appearing. And then just to simply let the wisdom that is guiding everything do its work.